This is The Baseline, discussing the hot button topics of the NBA. Welcome, everybody. You're tuned to The Baseline. Callie Warrenshaw discussing the hot button topics of the NBA. 'Tis the season of giving, and we are ready to give you an awesome episode of The Baseline as we near Christmas Day. A lot of NBA games to be played, but the best game that we like to play is who wants to ride with the Baseline boys to discuss basketball for the holiday season. And we have got a great guest on board to do that. I'm not going to ruin it because my man, our man of the century, the Kris Kringle of the NBA podcasting sphere, my man 50 grand, www.shawsports.net, Big Kahuna PNC, my man, Mr. Warrenshaw, repping out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. What's up, man? I listen, I know you're excited to unwrap the present for our listeners. What you got on? What did you put in the sleigh ride as you were traveling through, gallivanting through the globe in order to bless us with the greatest gift that basketball could offer us?
Well, that's very kind of you and illustrious even. I think membership has its privileges. That's what I'll say. And being a part of this fabulous group, 19 Media Group, allows us to spread our tentacles out a little bit and touch the various aspects of the sports and entertainment landscape. And through, our label mate, if you will, Gerald Brown, his connections stretch far and wide, and has us with an amazing guest here today, Anthony Morrow, a former NBA player, spent, multiple years within the league, played with your favorite players, knockdown shooter, just all around great individual, doing great things out of the city of North Carolina as well, the state of North Carolina, excuse me. So really excited to have him on here for the majority of the Baseline show. We'll be diving into multiple topics, man. It's going to be a fun one here, but again, membership has its privileges. Shout out to Gerald Brown, Bottom Line Sports Show, come to 19 Media Group soon as well.
Yeah, man. And listen, it is awesome when we have someone kind of pop up in our neighborhood, ready to kind of talk hoops, talk about the game, and probably none better to do that right now than, a savvy NBA veteran, but somebody who is also in our space as well, too, operating in the podcasting space. People don't know Anthony Morrow is co-host of Charlotte on the Scene podcast, and would definitely encourage people to check that out. So he's going to be coming on board in a quick minute to talk hoops with us, to get us ready for Christmas Day games and other little tidbits that's happening in the association. But as always, we appreciate you and yours for hopping on board with us. Be sure to get at my man at The Warrenshaw. Get at me at Game Face Lead, the show's Twitter handle, NBA Baseline, available on all the major platforms. You know where to find us. Go to www.thebaselinenba.com to not only catch us and this episode, but also the archive of episodes that we have had laid out for your listening pleasure. And as always, if you're catching us on the YouTube channel, we'd like to say hello to you and yours. And if you see the blue and white logo, that means we are rocking with the 19 Media Group family. Be sure to check out www.19mediagroup.com in order to check not us, but also the family of great content creators that are part of the 19 Media Group platform. So definitely go check that out. Before we get into the digs of having our special guest, Anthony Morrow, join us for this week's episode, hey, man, we got to play the bills. So just so you know, this episode of the Baseline NBA podcast is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's the holiday season, the best time of the year for sports, bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And this time, for the holiday season, everyone's favorite Prize Picks holiday promotion is back. 7 days of Pixmas. Prize Picks is giving out 7 days of deals all the way through Christmas Day, including a Christmas Day max discount. Pixmas starts December 20th, so you can download the app today and unwrap those deals. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, what game to watch, there's one place where it feels good to be right, and that's Prize Picks. This basketball season, I've been having a blast making lineups. It's super simple and quick. Here's how it works. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you get them right, you can cash in. You can even use the new Stacks feature to pick the same player up to 3 times in one lineup, like more on Steph's points, 3-pointers, and assists. I've been checking out projections for Kevin Durant, Luka Doncic, and Tyrese Maxey lately, and trust me, seeing your takes hit is the chef's kiss. And let me tell you about this new feature. Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you now have the ability to have the option to cash out on those winnings before the game even finishes. So what are you waiting for? Download the Prize Picks apps today and use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Coming up, Anthony Morrow joins the Baseline Boys, getting you ready for the Christmas Day games. Don't go anywhere. All right, Cowley, Warren Shaw, Baseline NBA podcast. And as we said before, we are excited to have with us 10-year NBA veteran, a man who's seen it all, done it all, and clearly is loving the podcasting space as well, too. You can definitely check him out as he's co-host of Charlotte on the Scene podcast. Man, Anthony Morrow joining us here on the Baseline. Anthony, welcome aboard, man, and happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays, guys. Appreciate y'all for having me, man, for real.
What's it like being, I got to ask you, man, what's it like being in the Queen City, right? You know what I'm saying? Doing it up in the Queen City, man. It's been a minute since Sean and I have been down there stuff, man.
Oh, man, we lit today. Our Panthers won. We won a big one today. I can show you, but we won a huge game today, man. So, you know, all my Panthers fans and my Panthers homies is on the team and just the whole city, man. We rejoice. The city is better when the Panthers are winning. So,
hey, man, cool. The Panthers have been the surprise team of the NFL, and you know, listen, we got family down in Tampa Bay right now. I know how they feeling right now because now, you know what I'm saying, they're on life support, like literally like on life support with what happened. But it's still great, man, because that is what I remember more than anything. And I know we're going to get to the basketball real quick, but that to me is what I always appreciated about those rivalry games when the Panthers would take on the Falcons and the Panthers would take on the Bucks and you know what I'm saying? Like, and the Saints, they were all of those teams in the mix, man. It was great football to watch. And I'm glad the Panthers are back on it again. So we can really get to see those type of rivalries manifest itself, man. It's great football. NFL is better for having the Panthers become that type of team. And man, shout out to Bryce Young, man, because that he has resurrected his career so much, man. If there's anyone who I think deserves comeback player of the year, Bryce Young, and what he's been through and what Canales has done to get him in the position he is definitely the future for the Panthers.
We got the coach of the year, in my opinion. I'll give him that. You know, his name got to be thrown in that hat at some capacity. Somebody got to really take that serious right now. Shout out to Bryce, man. He figured a lot out in the last 2 years. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of, we got T-Mac. We got a lot of guys doing. Derrick Brown, the leader of that team, man. Watch his growth since he came into the league. It's really, I had to talk junk to G Brown, Gerald. You already know, right? Look, bro, I already know I did. I just drenched myself in all my Carolina Panther gear, just took him a picture. Say, see you in 2 weeks, champ. That's all I'm gonna say. See you in 2 weeks. It's all good.
Absolutely, man. All right, so let's not waste any time on this, man. Obviously, we have got the Christmas Day games coming up, and it's actually a nice spread. I mean, talk about the NBA giving us a little something to feel happy and cheerful about. We've got Cavs, Knicks, Spurs, Thunder, Mavs, Warriors, Rockets, Lakers, and Wolves versus the Nuggets. This is a great slate of games for the NBA, especially with the parity that's been going on. So I want to first start off, we're going to do our pick'ems real quick. I wanted to get your take between, the Cavs and the Knicks, two teams that are obviously moving in very different directions. Knicks first coming off of winning the Emirates Cup. The Cavs have been struggling recently. Who do you got between those teams, and what are you looking for?
I probably got I have the Knicks. They got some momentum right now, and they've been playing well. I love what Jalen Brunson and those guys have been doing. They play a certain brand of basketball to me that I don't think is always pretty to watch as a basketball fan. But at the same time, they got some guys that, you kind of rally behind those games. You don't want to leave the game because, no matter they get down 12, 15, 20, they're going to keep playing hard. And Mike Brown over there, shout out to them. Shout out to the whole staff. And we get more Knicks. I love the Cavs too, but I gotta go with the Knicks at home on Christmas. That building, Madison Square Garden, gonna be different on Christmas Day. So I'm going with the Knicks for that one.
Yeah, and I'm gonna follow up real quick, and I'm gonna dive in and not really add much to it. I think New York definitely has a lot of momentum right now. Cleveland is
Yeah.
really struggling. We're going to talk about this Cavaliers team in a little while, because I definitely think they're a team that needs to maybe think about shaking things up as a second apron team who was just not performing. They have a lot of injuries, etc. But just hasn't been all good for them. Maybe Donovan Mitchell coming home. Maybe he'll put on a show at MSG. But yeah, I got the Knicks going and taking this one here at the noon, tipping things off here on Christmas Day. Cal, what you got on it?
Yeah, I mean, I have the Knicks winning this one. I agree with what Anthony's saying. Their brand of basketball right now is not the prettiest, but it is the most effective for that, for that roster.
Right.
And you know, this is one of the things that we had wondered, about Mike Brown is his ability to make adjustments and to work with the roster to maximize what you have. And I think he's starting to maybe figure that out. I don't think there's ever been a question that he's a good coach. But I think how he utilizes the roster, how he puts, the right guys on the floor to execute what he wants out there, not only just offensively, but defensively. That to me is going to be the one caveat. I've seen over the years he has shifted more to an offensive style of branding and coaching in basketball, acquiescing to the offensive side of things. If he can marry that with what he used to be as a defensive-minded type head coach and put that together, we could be talking about a completely different conversation come the end of the year about the Knicks possibly finally getting, to the NBA finals. Let's go ahead and shift our attention to the next slate of game there. So the Spurs will be taking on the Thunder. Fresh off of that semifinal Emirates matchup, Shaw, we're getting round 2 of it so soon. You know what I'm saying? What are your thoughts on that one? And how do you think it's going to shake out?
Yeah, 1000%. This is for me the game of the day. While others might have some other interest there, especially because the Spurs were able to stop OKC's winning streak in the way that they did, and for all the I guess the pageantry and the accolades that were on the line, for that game, Wemby coming back in a very dramatic fashion. I think the Thunder wants to get their lick back, right? I think they're like, you know what, y'all not what you think this is, and I'm really looking forward to that game tremendously. I wonder if Wemby will actually be starting. Continue to come off the bench in that space when what Brown's kind of doing in that situation. Mitch Johnson, what he's doing in that situation. But ultimately, to me, this is going to be a lot of fun. But I do think the Thunder are going to pull this one out at home, coming off that loss to San Antonio. I got OKC winning that game so far there. So 2 home wins for me so far on Christmas. I'll kick it to you, Amo. What you got on that one, OKC and San Antonio?
No, I'm a little biased, but I'm definitely going OKC after they got knocked out
It's a little bit,
by the Spurs. Yes, a little bit. But I think they adjust so well. Even when they win, they're adjusting, and that's what the good organizations do in the first place. Not trying to fix something that's not broke, but also adjusting for the future, and that's what Sam Presti and Mark Denegal knows that staff and that organization does over there so well. So I got them getting their lick back, so to speak, like you said. But I'm interested to watch that game to see how they adjust to how they lost against the Spurs. And it was probably not saying due for because you never want to lose, but they've been on such a hot streak and it's such a long season. I just want to see how they adjust come Christmas Day. They're gonna be charged up. And they're at home, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, it's gonna
They
be
are.
like a real party in there. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, this was the semifinal game was a coming out party for Stephon Castle, and I think that helped the San Antonio Spurs. I think moving forward for us to take them seriously as maybe a possible top 3 team in the Western
Right.
Conference when this could be all said and done. But this to me again is a get right game for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think what this game is going to prove to me is, can the Oklahoma City Thunder play with the level of physicality that a young Spurs team can show you they're capable of? And to me, that's the counter adjustment. I think if SGA, if Dort, if Caruso, all of those guys as a backcourt play that physical brand of basketball that they felt or had to absorb when they played against the Spurs in the Emirates Cup, you're going to see a completely different animal, a completely different beast, with the way that the Thunder play defensively, which, to me, I'm still not completely sold on the Spurs offense like that. I think they found a way to bring the Thunder down to a level where their offense can kind of neutralize and be an equalizer to them. if the Thunder can score the way that they do and play the level of physicality defensively, I'm not going to say it's a blowout, but I think that they can easily win this type of basketball game. But I'm still looking at the Stephon Castle SGA matchup, man. I think that's going to be must-watch TV for Christmas Day. Absolutely.
I love that pairing as well too. And Harrison Barnes has to hit shots for the Spurs. He's gotten into a little bit of a slump after starting off so hot, especially hitting those corner threes. So the Spurs have got to get their outside shot to fall, especially with the Thunder's defense kind of swarming all over the place. Let's switch gears here now to Mavericks Warriors. To me, not the most exciting game of the day. You know, Cal, you're always somebody who thinks like, you know, maybe the NBA should have a little flex spot when it comes to Christmas Day, because these two teams were, especially with the Cooper Flag scenario, and obviously, you know, Steph Curry and his gravitas, that was the angle that they were going to. But the Warriors are really struggling. The Mavericks are obviously struggling tremendously as well too, but they still have Cooper Flag. I'll kick to you first, Cal, then Amo jump in. CL, your thoughts on Mavericks Warriors?
I know this sounds kind of crazy, but I think I'm going to take the Mavericks on this one. I'm just right now I'm just not sold on the Warriors. I don't know what it is. I wish I could put my finger on it. You know how I felt about it for a long time, man. That like I just don't see this team responds like as much as everyone thinks that they do with Steve Kerr as the head coach. And I think this is going to be another game that we have to start questioning. You know, like the way that this team has been structured and composed. Is Steve Kerr the right person to get these guys right when they need to be right? I see glimpses of it from time to time, but in this particular case, man, I just think it's a question of, hey, this could be a great chance for Cooper Flag to come out there and show people in prime time. I can, you know, I'm still a rookie of the year candidate. I can maybe dominate a team that really is going to be smaller, you know, as far as size goes. He should be able, you know, to you know, own guys in the paint if that's how he wants to play. We'll see how that is. But I'm going to take the Mavericks on the upset for this one.
Yeah, Anthony.
I think I'm gonna go with the Warriors, man. Even though I want to go with the Mavs, I think Cooper Flag is gonna play really well. Christmas Day, he's gonna be excited. Great talent, number one pick guy. I think he's gonna try to prove a point on a stage like this. But the thing about the Warriors, like you said, I think that now you're hearing rumblings about the disconnection between the players and the coach, the relationship Jonathan Kuminga has with Steve Kerr. You know, I think it's just the way they're structured is outdated to me now. Like it worked for a long time, but I don't know if you can continue to build around that without another superstar. You know, around Draymond and Steph, and then another somebody that come in there that can take pressure off Steph, pressure off Draymond, and still can get you 23, 24 points a night. That's the only way they're going to be able to compete in the West with everybody in the West getting better. Houston, Minnesota, Dallas is eventually going to be better when Kyrie and them get back. So I don't know how they sustain it, but, you know, they got off to like a hot start. I'm like, I've got to see how long this lasts. So now we kind of see everything kind of breaking down. And, you know, when they want information to get out, it's going to get out. So you start hearing rumors about Steve Kerr. You know, you start hearing rumors about different guys feeling some kind of different ways. I mean, that's a culture breaker right there. So hopefully they can figure it out. But I'm gonna still go with Golden State though.
Man, I mean, and that's a lot of reasons to not, but I think I love the confidence you have there.
Yeah.
Steph Curry on the big stage as well too. I mean, I think just kind of like, listen, young buck, it's not your time type of situation.
Right.
Like I can see Steph really kind of doing this thing, and Jimmy Butler as well. Like, you know, they should have a certain level of pride. You know, being selected to play on Christmas Day, but not having the season that they ultimately wanted to have. I'm gonna side with my guy Cal on this one too, though. I think Dallas has started to turn things around. They've started to get a little bit healthy. Anthony Davis is starting to pick up a little momentum, shedding some of that weight, etc. Cooper now, I guess we all know, no longer playing point guard, now more back on the wing. You know, they're utilizing point guard rotation in there. The younger Nemhard on that roster, Brandon Williams as well too. I just think things are trending a little bit more effectively for Dallas. Although they'll all be on the road, I think this could be a nice close game. But I'm going to go with the Mavs, you know, to do the, I guess, pseudo upset, you know, here against the Golden State Warriors. Let's switch it to another big game. The Houston Rockets versus the LA Lakers. Amo, I'll kick it right back to you. Rockets at Lakers. You know, Houston's playing extremely well right now as well, too. Just came off a dismantling of the Denver Nuggets, you know, over the course of this weekend. What do you got on the Houston Rockets versus LA Lakers?
I love what the Rockets are doing right now. and I just talked to my brother KD the other day. But I'm gonna have to go with the Lakers, man, because we got to understand what Bron is gonna be on Christmas Day, and then Luka too. So I'm going with the experience on this one, and I'm not saying KD, of course, he has experience because most guys, but I'm going with the Lakers. It's at home. And we know what LeBron is on Christmas Day, and Luka is like that kind of player on that kind of stage. I think it's gonna be a great game though, because I think Kev and Asar and all those guys, they're gonna step up, and it's gonna be a very competitive game, with some real implications for later on in the season. I think so. I think it's gonna be so competitive just because of all of that.
I love how you're able to just
The
kind of.
game.
No, I was gonna say I love how he's
No,
able to just kind of like casually name drop, Kev,
It's the
KD.
homie. Because Kev will see this and be like, "Hey man, y'all think we're gonna lose?" No man, I'd break it down. That's my guy.
Yeah, real talk. Go ahead, Theo. My bad.
I was just gonna say, man, like I don't know what it is, man. I don't know if Udoka is the KD whisperer or whatever, but I'm seeing a different side to KD this year, and it's not because of how he's scoring his points, but I'm seeing a level of physicality from KD that I think is reflective of the type of team that the Houston Rockets are. And I always said that was going to be the X factor about whether or not we were going to buy into this trade. The Rockets going all in and bringing KD, because KD has always been an efficient, finesse, quiet, silent killer. But Udoka and the way that he structures his team, man, he wants them to be up in their opposition's face. He wants to be physical. And I see KD showing that. And I think that's going to be an interesting contrast to what I'm seeing from the Los Angeles Lakers. And to your point, if we get, LeBron, LeBron Santa and Luka Grinch, what I'm saying, on Christmas night, I want to see how Udoka and the Houston Rockets and that young, lengthy physical team gets up against the Los Angeles Lakers. If there's ever a game that I'm most looking forward to the Spurs and Thunder, it's going to be this game, because I really want to see if the Rockets can impose their will defensively on the two great scorers in Luka Doncic and LeBron James. And I think they will. I think they are going to cause havoc. It's just a question of whether or not the refs are going to call it that way. That's the one thing. If they're going to be calling ticky-tack fouls and, we got to preserve the star players, whether you're KD, Luka, or LeBron, then this is going to be an ugly brand of basketball that nobody is going to care for, and you can't have that on prime time. I want to see them guys bow up. I want to see them talk smack, you know what I'm saying? And I want to see somebody, you know what I'm saying, delivering cookies in the fourth quarter. So I'm going to go with the Rockets on this one, because I think when it's crunch time, everybody's focusing on Luka and LeBron, but I think KD is going to get that shot when he needs it and takes it, and it'll help propel the Rockets.
Yeah, I mean, great points, Cal, for sure. I'm also picking Houston in this one. I think Şengün, Amen, all these guys getting their first taste of this Christmas Day situation. Not going against our guy Amo here on purpose, just thoughts, right? We're just talking, and I just
no offense taken, brother.
I know that.
He's like, I'm glad I'm on with you guys, man. He's like, I can't be having this conversation and immediately only one talking about KD ain't winning. I just had a conversation with him.
Telling you,
but
man.
I mean, but the Rockets, to me, like I said, I think you hit the nail on the head. The physicality is something that they're going to be able to potentially overwhelm Luka with, and LeBron now having to kind of maybe not say carry the load, because obviously Luka's there, but no Austin Reeves, right? They don't have that other pressure relief valve that's playing at such a high level for them. And I think their defense is still suspect. And the way Reece Shepherd is, like, I was really down on him in the beginning of the year because he was getting targeted so much defensively. But his offense is like, it cannot be denied. Like, hey, Amo, he's a shooter, right? You know what it means to be a shooter.
Absolutely.
And Reed is out there letting that thing go, and it is falling. So I really think he'll be able to kind of stem the tide there too, especially offensive for Houston. So I got the Rockets, taking out the Lakers too. But I think it will be the second best game of Christmas Day as well too. All right, let's transition to the last game of the night. Wolves at Nuggets. This is a pseudo rivalry. I know, Kyle, you don't really love that terminology too much, but the Wolves and Nuggets have a little bit of history. And Anthony Edwards is a guy who loves to go into Denver, and honestly play the Grinch at all times and all ways possible. So I'll kick it to you, Kyle, real quick. Who you got, Wolves and Nuggets?
This one I'm gonna go with the Nuggets. I just think right now the Nuggets are just a really, really good basketball team. The Wolves have been very inconsistent, and especially with Ant being in and out of the lineup. I can't recall. Is he expected to be
Yeah, he's back.
available for
He's
this
back in
game?
play.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, as much as, I buy into the fact that the Wolves are, they're going to be a good basketball team. There's no question. I just think that the teams that are ahead of them, you can tell have gotten better. And so we're still kind of on that wait and see mode when it comes to the Timberwolves. And this is just going to be one of those games. Again, Jokic is on one, bro. Like, fresh off of what, like two triple doubles in a row. You know what I'm saying? And everything he does is meaningful, man. And it's just, if you got that coupled with, an elite version of Jamal Murray on the court, I just don't know how defensively the Timberwolves are going to be able to stop that combination. They were able to do that last year, but again, that was because Jamal Murray just wasn't Jamal Murray that we're seeing right now. So I got the Nuggets at this one, especially at home.
Anthony Tappin.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, who won the Houston-Denver game recently?
Houston beat Denver. They basically played a home and home. So Denver won the first game in OT, then Houston beat them by like 19-20 in the second game.
I got Denver winning. I got Denver beating Minnesota. Minnesota's always kind of an up in the air team to me, especially in big moments. And I love that, man. That's my little homie. But the way they structure their offense when it matters at the end of the games is way too much on him. Like they need another guy to me for them to make that real leap. I think it's great that we have a young superstar in Minnesota that's doing what he's doing and the success that they're having, but I just can't trust him against big moment teams like the Nuggets on a big stage. It's like the playoffs almost. So it's one game. It's not 7 games, obviously, but I just always had that feeling about Minnesota. Like I can't always trust them down the stretch in big games and in big moments. And Denver is Denver, and they're coming off a loss, so they're gonna have a chip on their shoulder. And it's Christmas Day, so Jamal's gonna step up. I would think Jokic is gonna be who he is. So I got to go Denver on that one.
Yeah, well, let's make it a clean sweep. Clean sweep. I'm picking the Nuggets as well for all the reasons my two colleagues here indicated. I think Jamal Murray is playing the best basketball at this time of the year that we've seen. He usually is somebody who turns it on during the playoffs in the latter part of the year, but he's been locked in since day one. And I think, to kind of stem off like the rivalry talk when it comes to Minnesota, the Nuggets are on a different tier in the Western Conference currently as currently constructed. So I got the Nuggets winning that one as well too, man. So Christmas Day, 5 great matchups there too. I think, there's a lot of great insight here on the baseline, Cal. Why don't you close us out on this segment, brother?
Absolutely. So this message or this segment of the baseline, this message is sponsored to you by Raycon. It's Raycon's anniversary, and what better way to celebrate than with the deal on the Everyday Earbuds Classic. They're now 20% off, so it's the perfect time to get your hands on these reliable, super comfy, and easy to take anywhere. And you'll see why once they have been a fan favorite since day one. The Earbud Classics are loaded with upgrades, active noise cancellation, multi-point connectivity, so you can pair with 2 devices at once, and an ergonomic fit that actually stays put no matter what you're doing. Plus, over 3 million customers are already loving Raycons, and they come with a 30-day happiness guarantee. So if you don't love them, returns are as easy and you have nothing to lose. The Baseline boys love their Raycons, and we think you will too. Go to buyraycon.com/baseline to get 20% off of the Everyday Earbuds Classic. That's buyraycon.com/baseline to get 20% off. Coming up, Baseline Boys and our special guest, Anthony Morrow, we start talking about possible trade rumors happening in the association. Don't miss it here on the Baseline. We are back. Callie Warren Shaw, Baseline NBA Podcast, with us, special guest, Anthony Morrow, joining us here. Time now for us to dig into a little bit of the rumors that are going on in the association as far as trading goes, right? So there are a couple of teams, and I know my man Shaw and Ant have been kind of following these teams, been kind of, keeping a close eye on whether or not we should really be considering the whole buy or sell mentality about where certain teams should be or need to be as we start getting a little bit closer to that NBA trade deadline. And a good metric or a good litmus test is going to be some of the teams that we're even talking about, they're going to be featured in Christmas Day games. And by the time that we get around to the new year, where they're going to be placed as far as their Eastern Conference, Western Conference, as far as their tiers go, respectively. So Shaw, I'll let you take it from here.
Right. So I appreciate it, Mike G. And honestly, what I wanted to have a conversation on here first is like Anthony's somebody who obviously played in the league. So we have his expertise to join us here on the baseline here today. So December 15th is the unofficial start of trade season because contracts that were signed in the summer, blah, 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 can ultimately start to get moved, right? So 80% of the league becomes trade eligible. January 15th is kind of like the end date where everybody is air quote kind of trade eligible. So Anthony, for somebody who's been in the space, played with big name guys, been traded even himself, what is it like, as the life of an NBA player when this date kind of comes about and now rumors start to fly, right? I'm sure you've been on it on multiple sides where guys on your team have been rumored about, big name guys, role playing guys, et cetera, and then even yourself. So take us a little into the world of what it's like when, oh, snap, trade season is upon us and rumors start to fly out there.
You kind of have a feeling about it. It's almost like an elephant in the room because you may have a guy that's going into a contract year, but you also know that he wants to be moved, and then it's like a sign and trade situation, and that changes the team if that happens. And I've been through on teams where we had to worry about that. I've myself been traded not knowing until I had to find out on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter before I talk to actually speak to the GM. And I know most guys is probably like that now because it's only a handful of guys that can just orchestrate their own way out of a city. Like when I first signed with Jersey, my first year, even before training camp, they were already talking about trading for Carmelo Anthony or Carmelo either sign and trade or signing there. Actually, it was a trade. And it didn't happen until 2 years later when it happened with Joe Johnson and all of us, where they sent like 6 of us to Atlanta and Joe came in and they started that whole Brooklyn Nets team back then. But that was a scary feel. Like, I'm like, damn, I just got to Jersey. I haven't moved everything into my apartment yet. I'm calling my mom, like, Mom, I don't know what's going to happen, but I might get traded. She's like, traded where? Denver. Denver? I'm like, yeah. And it's just how the game is, so it's a lot of anxiety in that, and it's a lot of uncertainty, but you still got to be a pro, still got to go to work every day, still got to work on your craft every day, because if it doesn't happen and you're not ready, then you're going to be behind the 8 ball when the actual season starts.
Okay. I want to ask a real quick question to what you just spoke to, Anthony. When you hear this, right? And let's say you're going back into that building knowing that, this is kind of being rumored about, or it's around the water cooler and stuff like that. Do you, in your mind, do you kind of think about it and you start looking at, not just your teammates, but also like the way things are being done, how things are ran? Like you're saying, is this more about the roster? Because you're playing with these guys and let's say your team is good, right? You're saying to yourself, like, damn, like, we're not even given enough an opportunity for us to see if we're good enough to fail. You know what I mean? Like there's not even enough time in order to think about that. Or how much of it do you look at it and think, man, it's really the guys that you're playing around, it has to be done, or how much of it is obviously the organization just has a different mentality about what they think a good team's supposed to look like or what they want a good team to be going out there to do?
With me, I mean, like getting traded from Oklahoma City, it hit a little harder getting traded from New Jersey because in New Jersey, I really wanted to stay because we were going to Brooklyn next year. All this hype was around the city, but we kind of knew in the back of our minds that they're gonna try to go get a star somewhere. We just didn't know who it was until we found out it was Joe Johnson. Oklahoma City was a little different because that was more business. Like I had to be thrown in that trade to make the money work. Um, but I had a teammate that wanted out, and once that happens, you know, great organizations, when you tell me you don't want to be there, I'm getting rid of you immediately. I'm gonna find a way to get you out of here because if we mess around with it, you're just gonna tear down the locker room and the chemistry and the culture of the team. And I could respect it because certain GMs will break that down to you. Some GMs you may not really have a conversation with, but I had a conversation with Sam Presti. So it's kind of like I didn't look at any teammates any kind of way at all because I think they understood that, like, if you understand and they understand that if we understand this business, then all the emotional stuff we can get past. But I mean, everybody's different when it comes to that. You could be in an organization for 10 years and you get thrown in the trade. It happens all the time. And you got to understand it's not just the team, it's not just the organization, it's people that work in the building. It's the community. It's the restaurants you used to go to. It's the friends you make outside of basketball there. And I did feel that more in Oklahoma City when I got traded there, but when I got traded from there. But I mean, it's different parts of it. It's how you look at it, you know. So,
And I think that's an amazing insight. And thank you so much, for sharing that. And it's honestly, for me, obviously never been in the league, but understanding that there's so much collateral, and you can call it damage, but there's collateral impact,
yeah,
around, a trade, to that individual player, or even for guys who are role players or end of the bench guys or whatever the case to be, when a star says, "Hey, I want out," and now the
yeah,
money has to work. And so now
yeah,
it's not just that star's got to go out. Multiple people need to have their life uprooted because of that situation. It's an interesting business. It's a dirty game, I think, at times.
yeah. Because
But
you got kids, wives, girlfriend,
yeah,
like they get ingratiated just like you are forever how long. So, but it's part of it. It's kind of hard explaining that to a 5-year-old, but at the same at the time, but it is what it is.
I feel that. I feel
Absolutely.
that. So since we have you, I just got to ask this one question before I kind of jump into the trade things right now. So I personally, I have nothing against Giannis Antetokounmpo, nothing at all. But I feel like he's being a little passive aggressive when it comes to these demands or lack of, like, oh, I'm not doing anything. But then his social media gets wiped of all Bucks content. Then he's like, oh, my agent is doing all the stuff and whatever. And we've heard like he flirted with the Knicks or whatever the case to be. I wouldn't ask you to speak out against somebody in the basketball fraternity, so to speak, but your overall sense of Giannis wanting to stay in Milwaukee, and if you think a trade may ultimately happen with him as probably the biggest name that's being talked about here in this NBA trade season.
First of all, I don't know why guys delete everything of the team off their social media. Like, nobody really cares except for like what the media cares because it's something
Right.
to talk about. But I don't think the fans care as much. I mean, if you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan at this point, I'm not mad at all for him wanting to leave. If you're a logical basketball fan, that's a Milwaukee Bucks fan, he brought you a championship. He brought revenue to the city. He made they hadn't been relevant like that since Ray Allen or something played there. So I mean, I think that honestly, he is being very passive aggressive for sure. Because if he wanted out, it would just go to them and say, "Look, I want out. Like that's it. I don't have to have anything. My agent's not running my Instagram. Like you don't have to lie about that. Go tell him. Go talk to them people and get me out of here, bro. I gave him a chip. I gave him loyalty. I gave him a Greek restaurant. Probably the only one in Milwaukee. So I mean, it's just like he did his job there, man. I wouldn't waste. There's some guys that I felt like wasted time not doing it, and they put more traction and put more miles on their body doing that. I felt like Bradley Beal did that too long in Washington.
Where
I feel like I hope Devin Booker's not going down that path. I know how much they love the cities that they're in, and you grow with the city, like I said earlier. But if you're talking about career and winning, 27 points a night look different on another team that's a contender without you having to go there when you a 16-point a night guy because you done spent 8 more years somewhere. Because if they're not going to be as loyal to you, you don't have to be as loyal to them. I've never believed in that. But yeah, I think Giannis, like going into the trade talk, you can go into that. But yeah, I think he's being passive aggressive, but he also is trying to stay as loyal to it's a few guys doing that right now we can talk about. And it's not the same energy, I would say.
those are bars right there. More meat on that bone. And I think this gives us a breath to actually bring you back, as even the trade season kind of gets a little bit more further on and other guys get moved on. But this trade conversation is according to me. So there's a lot of players and teams out there, like, oh, they got to make a trade. So my list that I'm about to put up is teams that I think have to make a trade. So Milwaukee is not on it. I think they probably should, but have to, different terminology, at least for me. So my 5 teams right now are the Los Angeles Clippers, Sacramento Kings, the Cavaliers, the Brooklyn Nets, and the Golden State Warriors. And I'm going to go through very, very express version of my reasoning for this. Clipper season is tanked. It's done. It's a wrap. It's over. right? They started off the season. It's not going anywhere. Realistically, they're not going to be able to potentially move James Harden or Kawhi Leonard. Zubac is the guy that has the most value. I think they can get something for him. Although before we started our recording today, he's now going to be out several weeks with I think a high ankle sprain, but still has value to guys who may want a big. So the Clippers, I think, need to make a change. Maybe even Derek Jones Jr. or somebody who can go and get you a second round pick or whatever. But they need to start shifting in a direction to accumulate draft picks, because this draft pick seems like it's going to OKC and the riches continue to get richer. Sacramento, another team not going anywhere. DeRozan, Levine, Sabonis is going to be out another 4 or 5 weeks. Westbrook, even to a lesser degree. Keon Ellis is a guy who has a lot of interest around the league. I think Sacramento needs to be thinking about their ultimate future and trying to make something happen here too in a season that's not going anywhere. We talked about Cleveland earlier, and I think I don't need to reiterate those points. Second in for team that's not performing up to snuff at all. Now, granted, you can just say maybe they'll get healthy and things will turn around. I don't think so. I think something is wrong in the juju over there. And other people are talking about it. I don't have sources, but other people are talking about that. Coaches lost the locker room. I was like, what are you talking about? This is a 64-win team last year or whatever it was. Right. And now we're talking about losing the locker room already. Something is not right in Cleveland. And I don't know. I think a trade may need to happen. And I'm not even going to throw out which names it needs to be. Brooklyn is a real easy one for me. I think they just need to get off the money of Michael Porter Jr. He's not long for the Brooklyn Nets. And he's somebody who can absolutely go help somebody, or Detroit or somebody like that as well too. And Brooklyn continue to accumulate assets for what their ultimate future is. And the aforementioned Golden State Warriors. I think Anthony Morrow and Kyle Lee both talked about it a little bit earlier. This is a team that doesn't seem like it has all its parts. Jimmy Butler fitting, but not really fitting. Al Horford been in our lineup with his injuries. They still got this Kuminga thing hanging all around them. Clearly, that's a guy that needs to move. And I think that also that transitions some of the bad juju that I think that's happening there in Golden State. So that's my 5 teams I think need to make a trade. I'll throw it to you, Anthony, real quick. Any thoughts on any one of those teams? It doesn't need to, pick one, or do you think I'm way off? Or you have somebody else who you think absolutely needs to make a trade this NBA?
Can you bring it back up real quick?
Absolutely, of course.
Thank you, brother. The Clippers they waited too long. I would have been got that done, because you can see that turn into a disaster in the beginning, first, second year of that. And then like the Kings, they need to just figure out a way to kind of go that few years ago OKC route. You got a lot of age stars that you can get a little bit for. You can get some. And the problem is guys get those high ankle sprains and they're out for 6 weeks versus 4 or 5 years ago they're out for 2 weeks. So then you can't move them when you want to. And it changes every day with how you can make moves pretty much. Because everybody's working all the GMs working every day. And then Golden State, Kuminga, they got to figure that out. That's been so weird to me. I don't understand what's going on. And it's not like it's hard to move him. Like he didn't want what y'all wanted to give him, or he wanted to get, and then he comes back, and then you still don't make a move. Then it's rumblings that him and Steve Kerr don't really get along. So that's a lot of part what you said, like with that bad taste in the mouth over there. And Cleveland, I don't know what's wrong with they got to get rid of one of them guards. And if it's me, I'll probably get rid of the younger guy because I could probably get more. I have to trade Darius Garland and try to get some picks, or try to get another young, like long wing player or something like that, so that it's defensively that'll help them. But Donovan Mitchell is just one of them guys to me that just has to go out there and shoot 30 times. And I mean, he can average 50 if he wanted to, but he has to have the ball in his hand. He's got to be the 1 and the 2. But he needs some people with him that can score or can just defend, so he can just focus on that. But I think that'll clear a lot of stuff up, because I think the outside noise has gotten in that locker room. And then you start talking about the coaches lost the locker room, man. That usually it's outside talk. People start listening to ESPN.
I appreciate, that feedback. So you don't think I'm off my rocker. These are teams that probably should absolutely need to do something. Cal, your thoughts as well too. Anybody who I missed, or anything that you want to add, to this overall list in general.
I don't think you're off your rocker. Remember, you are the you're the diplomat. You bring diplomacy to this thing, because if I were to put this list together, then you know what I'm saying. I'm the crazy one, literally. I will say this though. What I found interesting is a lot of the teams that you you have mentioned are teams that sound like they have to be sellers, right? Because they have assets for other teams that could probably utilize the services of some of these players that obviously it's just not cutting it for where they are and where their organizations are respectively. And of the teams that I was most interested in we're saying that, they should be considering to move, that Brooklyn Nets scenario and the Golden State Warriors with Kuminga. What if you sent Porter over to Golden State? You know what I'm saying? Like having another shooter shoot, but with the length of a Michael Porter, right? You still have Butler and you still have Draymond, so you still have some comparable defense. But to me, I think the greatest detriment to the Golden State Warriors is they don't have a legitimate matchup that works in their favor based on the way that their roster is structured. Jimmy Butler on a night in, night out basis does not have a matchup that he can exploit or take advantage of. He's usually fighting an uphill battle. Steph Curry, as great a shooter as he is, you just put a more physical guard on him most nights, and you're going to have to basically play toss up on what you're going to get from him. You want him to commit more defensively, commit more to getting more shots for his players, or do you want him taking those 10, 15, 20, 30 shots to get you those 40-point performances, even at the expense of the team losing? They need a matchup. They need something that works in their favor, an X factor kind of thing. It's like having a Wemby and a Stephon Castle and an SGA and a Jalen Williams, you know what I'm saying? Or Murray and a Jokic. That's essentially what they need. So it'll be interesting to see if they do something like that. And if you're a Cleveland Cavaliers, it's like, damn, you have that in Mobley and Mitchell, and yet they can't figure out a way to make it work. And to Anthony's point, I think you may have to basically give up on Garland. Like, we talked about that in the beginning of the year, Shaw. Like, did what happened in the offseason with Garland and the possibility of him getting out, getting moved because they prioritized Mitchell in the offseason, did that create sour grapes or whatever? We thought that problem kind of is fixed, but it just seems like it's not done anything. And so you may actually have to shake things up if this is what we're going to get from the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are expected to make it to the conference finals. Right. And we're still talking about whether or not they're good enough to even get past now the New York Knicks or, maybe the Philadelphia 76ers. Like, they still haven't shown that they can be as dominant as how we're looking across the other side and see the Oklahoma City Thunder. So it's all just really interesting. And at the end of the day, we're still saying, should Giannis be moved?
That's crazy.
If he's a domino that falls, like whoever he goes to, how does that shake things up for other teams then to now start talking about making moves? So it's really, really, interesting how this may all shake out, because all the teams that we may be talking about that are buyers, we're going to be looking at the sellers and who they're selling more so than we're looking at the teams that are buying.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point, because I absolutely put the list together that way. Give me 1 second. That's the way I put the list together that way, because I think beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? When it comes to if I want to bring somebody in, right? So you don't know if hey, I need to buy, but there are definitely teams who absolutely should be trying to sell and reset their organization. And that's 1000% how I, in my mind, put this list together. Because you can say, oh, Detroit needs to buy. Oh, maybe the Lakers need to buy. Maybe the Pistons need to. I just said the Pistons. But do the Celtics need to do something and address the front court situation, right? I think these other teams are like, listen, we know where we're at. Here's who we need to. Here's where we want to go. And Golden State is maybe the one team in that. Cleveland to a lesser degree too. But Golden State, like, they know their window is only this big. So they got to do something to maximize Steph Curry's overall whatever time he has left. I'm interested in that Michael Porter for a Kuminga situation, because I think we joked in the beginning of the year, if Kuminga was in Brooklyn and get into just like let it fly, like Kuminga would be really happy, right? I'm sure you saw Michael Porter go over there and was like, damn, bro, I wish that was me. I thought he might have been able to do that with Sacramento, but now he's back in the doghouse again too. So Anthony, final thoughts here on the trade season, man. I didn't mean to interrupt before.
No, you good, bro. I just wanted to say this about the trade season stuff. Like, y'all remember in the beginning of the season, the two guys they were talking about, Trae Young and John Morant. See, like, people really don't think about how when that eerily gets quiet, nobody talks about how much their value is going down. You see what I'm saying? Now, one thing you said about Boston, I wouldn't mind seeing Trae go over there. Ooh. But you got to keep some defenders, get some defenders back, because that'll help them, it'll take some pressure off Jaylen Brown from scoring this year. But like Ja, I don't know where he would fit at. Joel Embiid, what they gonna do with that? That's been the quietest I've ever seen it over there in Philly. So I don't know if it's still heard of. It's like really no market for a lot of guys that people will just think it's like 2K trading. It's not like that. People lose value every day depending on what's going on. And Josh shouldn't physically, he shouldn't be losing value, but all the other stuff he got going on, who's gonna want to take that on with a guy not really a defender? He electric. Is he making people around him better? He goes out for 2-3 months. They win like 18 straight games. So like all these teams and GMs and coaches and scouts, they looking at that. So yeah, the only one I would say, I don't know what you do with Embiid, but trade to Boston would be kind of cool to me. I think he could help them.
And you brought up a really interesting point, Shaw. And I just want to throw this out here real quick. I think if something happens to Giannis, that is going to open up. It's going to be open season on the Ja Morants, the Trae Youngs. Like it's going to open up. It's going to open up the justification to be able to move. Like it's a window where organizations probably didn't want to take that chance. They don't want that kind of scrutiny. They don't want to have what happened to Nico Harrison moving Luka Doncic like he did last year, right? And not having anything to validate it. But if you do move Giannis, whether Giannis is forcing it or it has to be done, if Giannis gets moved, then you have now opened up a window where Memphis can justify moving Ja.
Yeah.
Atlanta can justify moving Trae Young. Because all of these other guys that we're talking about, it's really evident by either their play or by what the teams are doing performance-wise or where the organizations are, that you have to be moving these guys in order for you to either delineate what you're trying to do moving forward or what your expectations are for your fan base and the teams that you have currently structured. Like right now, if you're in win now mode, you got to do something. You can't sit on your laurels expecting the guys to be good when the rest of the other teams are doing stuff to get better and you're not doing anything. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be interesting. But I think if Giannis moves, watch. it's like opening up Pandora's box.
Yeah.
And timing will be absolutely everything on that. So if that's something that happens ahead of the trade deadline or the day of the trade deadline, how much time will then people have to respond, right? if it's like, oh snap, you know what I mean? Oh, what's up with LaMelo? What's up with Trae? What's up with, you know what I mean? Like there's so many dominoes that can kind of come with that. So I don't know if the Bucks really have kind of the key to the season maybe in their hands, and whether or not they want to do something with it, we ultimately will see. Great conversation here on NBA trades, man. This is a lot of fun, man. Let's head over to our next segment, my G.
Absolutely. Callie Warren Shaw, Baseline NBA podcast. Coming up, our man Ant Shaw and I discuss Hall of Fame nominees. We've got the list. Now we'll give you our perspective. Don't miss it here on the Baseline.
You've earned this. Now it's time to embark on your own personal adventure. Book your vacation with Exquisite Travel and Tours today. Explore the world and discover yourself.
We are back. Callie Warren Shaw, Baseline NBA podcast with our special guest, Anthony Morrow. Y'all know who he is and what he's been about, man. He's been NBA down for 10 years, but you can also catch him on his show. He's co-host of Charlotte on the Scene podcast, so be sure to check him out. And you can also catch him out on the gram as well, too. So right now we're going to get right into the topic of conversation. It's Hall of Fame nominee time, man. Around this time of the year, we have been blessed with the nominees and the candidates for the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame class of 2026. And in that class will include the 1996 USA Basketball Women's National Team, Coach Mike D'Antoni, Jamal Crawford, Elena Deladon, Blake Griffin, Joe Johnson, Candace Parker, Bruce Pearl, Kelvin Sampson, and then also Marv Albert, Doc Rivers, and Amar'e Stoudemire are returning as eligible candidates. A very, very, how do you want to say, robust list for us to kind of dig into, Shaw. What's your perspective of the candidates being listed here, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I always find it interesting when teams get nominated for this. We just had this conversation, last summer as well, too. Not knocking it, but, not really my vibe, so to speak, but cool, no problem. Interesting, Jamal Crawford. Mike D'Antoni, Elena Deladon. I think that's a lock for her. Obviously, Candace Parker, I think that's a lock as well too. But Joe Johnson and Blake Griffin. Blake is somebody we recently spoke about, Cal, on our podcast as we were talking about Blake's career as compared to Amar'e Stoudemire, right? And Amar'e now I think it's in his second year trying to be nominated or be a finalist for this as well too. I think this is going to be really interesting, and I'd love to get Anthony's perspective on this, just from the lens of not trying to pit guys against each other, so to speak, but we were talking about who had the better career between Blake Griffin and Amar'e Stoudemire, Anthony, and our consensus was we didn't have we were both split, you know what I mean, on which guy kind of had more of an impact, right? You know, and that's good podcasting. But both of these guys now are potential Hall of Famers. Do you think both of them are Hall of Fame worthy? And this is not to say that if you don't, that you're disparaging them. They've obviously had great careers, but Hall of Fame to me is such a lofty situation, like you're enshrined forever. And do you think Blake and Amar'e have left that level of mark on the game where they are Hall of Famers to be inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame?
This list has changed so much over the years, like the people. I think that's tough between them two. I might have to go Blake Griffin because longevity-wise, Blake came back and like redeemed himself in Detroit. And he wasn't the same athlete. I mean, they so athletic. Once they lost their knees, you know, it's kind of up in the air. But who's the better player after that happened? Who had more time in the league? Who, you know, and that's tough because I love Amar'e Stoudemire.
Yeah.
I thought Candace Parker was already in the Hall of Fame. What took them so long? I mean, she like number one on the list for me. Like,
yeah, that's a done deal. That's a rubber stamp.
Elena Deladon too. I would love to see Jamal.
I thought it was because Candace like had you know she extended her career playing, you know, those additional years. So isn't this like her first year of eligibility?
Oh, okay, it's her first year of eligibility.
Yeah, and I think Deladon like as well too. She like retired.
Right, and they changed the rules around eligibility. You needed to wait 5 years, and I think they changed it to 3 years. And like, there's a lot of like weirdness kind of going on with how the determination goes of when you're eligible. But ultimately, so we have up here screen. These are the first time guys. So Blake is a first time guy. Amar'e is not on this list because he's not first time. He's a second time guy. But yeah, I think, you know, this overall list, we have some locks in here. We know the females specifically are getting it. Like there's no
question. I think Kelvin Sampson and Bruce Pearl have built up like, you know, enough equity as coaches, you know, to get into the Hall of Fame. And to your point, and you know, the reason why I probably will see Blake Griffin go in ahead of Amar'e is because Amar'e's career, I think, has been, I don't want to say cut short, but his career was stymied in 2 different iterations. And so within the window, you saw that level of dominance when he played as a Phoenix Sun, and then the second iteration as a New York Knick. While he was good, he wasn't as dominant because he was playing next to Carmelo Anthony, you know, and that was the focal point. Like, but through him and what he did, he gave the New York Knicks a window of being relevant again to be able to get Carmelo Anthony by him signing and going over there and playing as well as he did, you know, minus him, like, you know, breaking his hands on, you know, other things that weren't basketball related because of the game of basketball. You know what I'm saying? That's why he did what he did. So, but it to me, it's like those iterations, like they were such small windows. Whereas Blake Griffin, he, you know, his resume extended out. He had some injuries, you know, and actually the most egregious of his injuries were at the early outset of his career. But he had that, you know, that run with Lob City and everything like that. I just felt like his body of work extended a little bit longer. That's probably why he'll get in ahead of Amar'e Stoudemire. But I don't think that there's a question that if we actually also calculated and looked at, you know, that small window of opportunity, and then, you know, you use numbers and you geek out on the numbers and say, if you extended it out, what it would look like, there'd be no question. Amar'e would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Right. That's what I agree.
I'm pulling it up again, like, and again, not to debate our who you got, but it is pretty friggin' absurd and close. 846 games for Amar'e, 765 total for Blake Griffin. So Amar'e actually played more games, played one more actual season. 18.9 points for Amar'e, 19 points for Blake. 7.8 rebounds for Amar'e, 8 rebounds for Blake. What I mean,
They're the same player.
They're the same guy, except where Blake throws Amar'e, to the wind, so to speak. He averaged 4 dimes a game, where Amar'e averaged 1.2. Blake was absolutely hands down the better playmaker. They both averaged 0.8 steals per game. Amar'e was a better overall defender and rim protector, 1.2 blocks. Blake only averaged half a block per game. Amar'e shot 53% and Blake shot 49%. But Blake shot 33% from the three-point line, and Amar'e obviously did not really shoot threes like that, only 23%. But you're looking at it side by side, it is pretty absurd. Amar'e actually had more games played. So yeah, I think it's an interesting situation. If Blake ultimately gets in, I think Amar'e does too. I think you can't.
Yeah,
I don't think
eventually,
right, exactly.
Right.
But I think Blake's charisma and in terms of what he's done, and then even this, both of them are 5-time All NBA guys. Both of them are 6-time All-Stars. He could not be any closer. Amar'e was the only guy to make a first-team All-NBA, though. Blake did not have a first-team All-NBA, in his that. And remember, he also missed that whole first year, his rookie year, with the knee injury or whatever the case may be. But again, just interesting that these two guys are being discussed as well too. Anthony, I want to ask you a couple quick thoughts on. You mentioned Joe Johnson and Jamal Crawford. Do you think these guys ultimately are able to get into the Hall of Fame? Have they contributed enough to be immortalized in that way? Good players, great players, amazing teammates, amazing individuals from everything I've heard as well too. But Hall of Fame, do you think those guys can get in?
Like I said, they changed the list so much, so I don't really know exactly the criteria. But for me personally knowing them, I would love to see both of those guys get in there.
Yeah.
I think from both sides is because people really love them, because there's some other dudes that they could probably put first ballot Hall of Fame. It's I don't know if Amar'e doesn't get in first ballot, how do they get in first ballot?
Yeah.
So it's just if you think about it like that, I'm not saying they don't deserve to be there. I just don't know about first ballot. I would love to see both of them in there though. Second, third, it don't matter what it is, but I mean, I think they've impacted the game so much, and there's two great guys you just want to see there that you can't say that he was just a good guy, but he couldn't play or he wasn't impactful. He didn't play in big games. Like Jamal, 3-time Sixth Man of the Year?
Yeah. They're talking about naming the award after that.
That's and then what do you put Lou Will? He did it. So you don't know where it could end up because that's one of the criteria is you got guys on there I know that y'all just kind of. That's not like they couldn't hoop or they weren't great in their own right or all-stars. But it's just a little different now. So, yeah, I think you have to put Amar'e and Blake will end up in there together. And I think if Jamal Crawford gets in or Joe Johnson gets in, the other one gets in too.
Yeah, I think great points, Anthony, for sure. And, it's interesting. I think that the point that you made, again, not necessarily first ballot, but they ultimately do get in. It took Chris Webber a couple times. Anthony Hardaway is on this list now as well, too. He's been on it a couple times, so maybe does he ultimately get in? Doc Rivers is somebody I think we should maybe have a quick conversation about. He is, in the top 10 of all times of NBA coaches in terms of wins. Did not make it in last year, but is, up for a renomination again this year. Marv Albert not being in already, I don't know. Maybe there's something with the rules. I don't even understand that.
See, I thought Marv was in there.
He's in there. He has one of the awards for the Hall of Fame, but he's not inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's a nuance, but I think this is a rubber stamp. What's happening here? That doesn't make any sense to me as well too. But your thoughts, Cal, real quick. Doc Rivers, he has to get it. He's top 10 all time in wins, and while his legacy might be tarnishing slightly, this is somebody who ultimately has to get in. I don't know if it's going to be this year. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, he should be in. There's no question. I'm not even going to, waste my breath. And, listen, I've been critical of Doc Rivers and, some of the choices that he's made, as in being head coaches for the teams that he's been on, over the last couple of years. And, some of his shortcomings as far as, not delivering for, the Clippers and, but that's neither here nor there. He has put a resume together that is Hall of Fame worthy with the amount of wins. He is an NBA champion. He had put together arguably one of the best teams to play at a high level, within our generation with the 08 Boston Celtics. He had a great run with the Celtics as well, too. And you go all the way back to what he did with the Orlando Magic. It's a no-brainer. I just wanted to touch on one little thing real quick to what Anthony was just talking about as it pertains to Blake Griffin, Amar'e Stoudemire, and we were just talking about Jamal Crawford and say, Lou Williams. One of the things that doesn't get talked about is what do these players do for our generation or for the generation that they played in as it relates to the game of basketball. And you can make the argument that Amar'e Stoudemire was the foundation of seeing the athleticism of a 4-5 guy do what he was doing. And Blake Griffin is like the 2.0 version of it. And if you look at it from that perspective, you can't tell me that even now in this modern generation of who's now playing those roles in that position, that we're going to see somebody doing that and what they did, scoring the basketball, rebounding, dominating, highlight reels and everything like that. Like that automatically should put you into the Hall of Fame because those guys were like, they boosted the marketability of what guys their size and their athleticism could do. And I say the same thing for a Jamal Crawford. We don't talk about the sixth man if Jamal Crawford doesn't do what he does during our era, during our generation. He made it a relevant role again by him coming and doing what he did for the teams that he played for in the iterations. And that's why we talk about the Lou Williams now, and we got, the Pritchards of the world. These guys got opportunities to get access to awards and accolades because of a Jamal Crawford, and that in and of itself should be a reason why they should be put in. They may not go in first ballot. I don't know how we prioritize that, but they definitely should be in because they were a significant part of our generation and how we looked at the game of basketball and how it was being played.
I agree, bro. And why does this say contributor for Mike D'Antoni? Like, what is? See, that's
yeah.
what
I was saying the same thing too. Like, it should be coach.
Coach, like I've never seen him do anything else but coach.
I mean, he's contributed to USA Basketball, I guess, as well too, and he's done a lot of like consulting work, as well. So yeah, it is weird. And then some people go in multiple times, right? They go in, hey, I did this, I went in as that as well too. Like the criteria is a little bizarre, something that we also ultimately do need to figure out. Last thing for me is like interesting. Robert Horry still on this as well too. Somebody still trying to get in here as a 7-time NBA champion, still toiling and making the rounds. And will this finally be the year? But yeah, they got to get this together. Maybe we should start a coalition. Us three. We'll get these boys right. Try to figure out.
Tap them in, man, so we can figure it out.
Exactly. Man, this has been a great episode, great conversation. We went through a lot, man. I mean, we went through a litany of different topics. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I know you got the scene going down there in Charlotte, man, but you doing pretty good helping, you know what I'm saying, to bring the regions together. Jersey, Fort Lauderdale. You might be the right fit in the middle. See how this is being set up? Right fit in the middle. You know what I'm saying? To make this pop off, my brother.
Hey man, I'm on deck. I already talked to I told y'all I'm on deck, man. Also want to shout out before my bad, man. Me and my guy Kobe Daniels, we got the Oklahoma City Sports Show Beyond the Arc on YouTube, man. Everybody can check that out, like and subscribe. That's going pretty well. We just kind of started. We're like 9 episodes in, but it's
entertaining. That's awesome. Congratulations. It's never easy. Saying putting these endeavors together and stuff like that, man. So, you know what I'm saying? As always, man, it's just great to see that you're in this space as well, too. So yeah, continue love and support on that, man. And we're definitely going to check that out. Our listeners are definitely going to check that out as well, too.
Appreciate y'all. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Once again, man, we'd like to thank everybody for hopping on board with us this week. And thank you to our special guest, Anthony Morrow, for hopping on board with us again. Be sure to check him out. Check him and his peoples out. Catch him on the gram. For the Baseline, Callie Warren Shaw, we appreciate you guys. Y'all have a Merry Christmas, a happy holidays. Enjoy the NBA games, Christmas Day games, and we'll catch up with you next time.
See y'all, man.